Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to our board meeting this evening. We will begin with a reverence by Board Member Tiffany Summers, then a flag salute, Pledge of Allegiance by Superintendent Steve Carlson, and then our recognitions will be by Board Member Julie Taylor.
Our Father in heaven, tonight we gather with gratitude in our hearts for the opportunity to live in this county and in this school district and in an area where we are blessed, and a nation where we are blessed to be educated and to learn, every student and every person. Father, we are grateful for the freedoms that we enjoy. We pray that a special blessing will be with us tonight as we strive to guide and direct our district, and in an effort to educate and care for each of our students throughout the district. We're grateful for educators and professionals who are so willing and eager to give of their time and talents and expertise to care for and educate our children. We pray that a special blessing will be with them and their families. We pray for protection for ourselves tonight as we are here and as we travel, and we pray for protection for our children and for our students and our school buildings. We pray for these things humbly, Father, and ask for these blessings in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Would you please rise? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have one recognition tonight, and I'm just going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to invite her to come up and share with us a speech that she gave when she visited the Utah State Capitol and with our senators and stuff. So I'm really excited about this one because these kind of things are not easy and not hard, and she's really come a long way and done a lot, really done a lot. So let me read this. I can pull it up here really quick so I don't. Okay. Our recognition tonight is, and I want to say your name right, I hope I do, Anastasia Trost. Is that right? Okay. So let me read this to you. So Anastasia Trost is the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Utah's Youth of the Year, representing the youth attending all of the clubs in Box Elder and Cache County. As the Northern Utah's Youth of the Year, she earns a $2,000 scholarship and the opportunity to share her story at the state capitol at a legislative breakfast with 4 other candidates representing their clubs across Utah. And I think that's what you already did, right? Okay. Anna has been attending the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Utah since 2017. She currently is a senior in the special education program at her high school. Anna has worked incredibly hard to succeed at school despite her autism and other disabilities, making honor roll the past 3 semesters. Fantastic. I love that. Her hard work paid off, and she was the recipient of Box Elder High School's Hall of Fame Award in 2023. Her dedication qualified her for work-based learning opportunities this year, and she was able to work at Kent's Marketplace and most recently started working at Canyon View Veterinary Clinic. Anna has a love for animals and is a protector of her younger sister. Anna has overcome extreme hardships, all forms of abuse and neglect, mental illness, and physical disabilities to become the strong, independent young woman we see today. So we want to welcome you and thank you for all of your service. And come up to the mic here and share with us your speech.
6 years ago, I was given 2 things, a home and a different perspective. My aunt and uncle gave my disabled dad, an alcoholic, an addict, a place to live. And the Boys and Girls Club of Northern Utah showed me a new perspective. With my aunt's and uncle's help, my dad got custody, and my sister and I have most of the time home with food, a room, and my dad got sober. I did Boys and Girls Club member with autism, depression, and PTSD. I was shown a different way I could be. Even with all the bad in my life, even with my disabilities, the club showed me I had choices, and I could be different. My mom still has visitation, and lives with my 2 little brothers. I have 19 half and step siblings. I spent most of the time lived in charge of kids. I've been left for days, so I tried to have food while my mom was gone. with friends or driving a semi with a boyfriend, even when I was in elementary school. I was kept home from school to take care of for sick kids. I was kept up at night to clean. I don't have one story to tell. In my life, I've suffered every kind of abuse in the hands of my mom's roommates, boyfriends, and husbands, who I lived full-time with until 6th grade. I still stay with my mom every other and holidays to protect my sister and help with my brothers, even if that is in a trailer with no water. The reality is my life is hard. It will continue to be hard, but no matter what is going on, my mom being evicted, her new husband breaking parole, my dad trying to get a job, I can still get 100 on my math test. I might forget my backpack and turn in an on assignment at school, but I will be at school. I can ask for help, lean on my special education teachers, and I can do better. I went from a failing student to getting all A's. I am doing work study. After graduation, I'm going to the technical college to be a vet tech and then Utah State to get a degree. I can hold a job, I can get an education, I can make a different life for myself and my family. My trauma, my disability, and some of the bad stuff continues to happen, but I have the skills to keep going. I value life, and I value learning. The club can't change your family, and I can't magically take away the bad stuff in life, but I can show you a different way to be, and that way I can be better.
Anna, thank you so much for being here and sharing with us your story and your resilience. You are truly a great example to all of us, and so we really appreciate you. Congratulations.
You know, Anna, we would really like for you to come up and shake all of us, our board members' hands, if you'd like to, okay? You've done a great job. Congratulations. Great job. Super. Thank you. That was fantastic. So she'll do that, so, okay. Okay, we'll move along now. We just need a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda.
I move we approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, Brian Smith, Board Member Brian Smith has made the motion. Board Member Connie Archibald, the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have our agenda for this evening. Tonight for our public comment is going to be a little different because we actually have two public comments tonight. Usually we just have one. We will have our regular public comment, and then our second public comment will be on school fees. So if you're here for school fees, please wait until our second public comment, okay? It'll follow our first one. Just some rules on public comment to be aware of. We ask that parents state their first and last name. Well, anyone who is presenting, present their first and last name when they come up. Also, we ask that individuals limit their comments to 3 minutes. If you're here representing a group of people, then we will give you 6 minutes for one person to come up and represent the entire group. Also, handouts can be used. If you have handouts, you can certainly give those to the board if you would like. The board will not take any final action on any discussion item that is not on our meeting agenda this evening. Also, comments on personnel issues will not be allowed during public comments. Okay, so we'll begin with, we have 3 in a regular public comment tonight. Noel Holden will be first, okay? Noel, and everyone, if you just come up to the microphone here, and sometimes you may have to pull the microphone down a little bit so we can hear everything that you have to say. And Okay?
Okay, hi, I'm Noelle Holden. I'm here to talk about reintroducing traditional kindergarten again for next year, half-day
Okay, can I
kindergarten.
just stop you? I'm sorry. If you're here to talk about kindergarten, we ask that you tell us, first of all, the school that your children go to, and also what year your kindergarten will be in school, whether it's this year or 3 years from now or whatever the case may be, okay?
Okay, yeah, so my kids go to North Park, and this will be for next year, like this coming
For coming
year.
year, okay.
Yes,
fall,
next fall,
okay,
yeah.
perfect.
So, okay, sorry. So up until like this year, so it's like the average was 11 hours a week. Now they're averaging like 30 hours a week, which I think is a lot to expect out of my 5-year-old. Is 3 times longer than he's expected to sit, be actively engaged, and be able to be socially, emotionally ready to adapt and problem solving. And for my child, I think that's a lot to expect. He needs his time to be able to be outside, to play, to be able to exercise, be active, so that he can like decompress and have like the ability and to handle like his day and his emotions and his like problem solving, like things he needs to work on. And so I do understand that we can pick him up in the middle of the day. That is an option we can choose. My concern that I've had for that is just that, from my understanding, they do all of their core work in the morning, and then after lunchtime, when I would pick him up, it's like all the fun things, like the PE, the library, I don't know, like the extracurriculars. So I guess where I'm having a hard time understanding is like, did the core work double? Like, I don't understand, like, if we were able to do it up until now, do we have to do it, like in the core work double, and so we have to have full day? Is there not a way we can, introduce the PE and the library and the things that make school fun for kids, like a little more fun, and some of those projects that are more fun for kids to be doing? I think that's my concern for not having to pick him up middle of the day. Like, I will do that, but I would love for him to be able to experience those things as well in the half day. So that's where my concern. That's all I have to say. So
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Noelle, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, Kyla Hillam.
Hello. Okay, start my timer. I'm Kyla Hillam. I have, what else did you say? I have I have a second grader, a first grader, and then I have a kindergartner that will be going in fall of 2025.
Okay.
So next year.
And what school?
Oh, Garland Elementary.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. But anyway, I wanted to start out by saying thank you, because I do truly appreciate all that you guys do. I appreciate all that our teachers do. I've had wonderful experiences at Garland. I have a first grader, I have a second grader. They've done wonderful programs. They've done speech. They've done all these things, and I very much have benefited from what has offered. So I do want to say thank you. In the spirit of appreciation, I do come before you to discuss an idea that I believe deserves consideration, which is bringing back a traditional half-day kindergarten class. That's a class where all of the students are enrolled in half-day. So everyone in the classroom will start and end at the same time. House Bill 477 is providing funding for the full-time kindergarten in Utah this year. The bill also requires schools to provide a half-day kindergarten option. However, the current option being offered at many schools is to pull your child out of the full-day kindergarten class in the middle of the day. I believe that the half-day children are feeling excluded from their full-day kindergarten class. In fact, I believe that many parents who opted for full-day kindergarten in this current school year did so due to fear of exclusion, when in reality, many of them would prefer the half-day option. I believe there is room and a need for both a traditional and a traditional half-day kindergarten class in our schools. I understand they may not want to offer as many half-day kindergarten classes as we've had in the past, such as just not this year, but even just the year before. I believe we had, at our school, I think we had 4 half-day classes and then 1 full, I believe. But I do believe there are enough parents wanting to enroll their kids in half-day kindergarten that we could create at least one morning class and one afternoon class to allow the teacher to continue to work full-time, but also give the opportunity to have those kids be all included together. I want to end by asking you to offer traditional half-day kindergarten classes at elementary schools in Box Elder County in the fall of 2024. I assume the amount of classes will be dependent upon the individual schools. I do believe that we can fill at least 2 classes with children whose parents desire this option. Of course, it doesn't have to be 2 classes, whatever works, but I strongly believe that people will want those half-day classes, and the reason that they're choosing not to do them is because I mean, it's a 5-year-old, right? It's hard to explain to them that, yes, your whole class gets to stay and do a coloring picture that gets to be hung on the walls, but yours is not included because I feel like that's best. Like, that's a hard thing to explain to a 5-year-old. And I feel like there are enough people in this rural area that parents are home and able to take those kids home in the middle of the day and take care of them. So thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Kyla. Appreciate that. Okay, Jessica Young.
Hello, I first want to start with saying that when I'm nervous, sometimes my Spanish comes out. So if I start speaking Spanish, just be like, hey, like, go back to English. And I may cry too because I'm an emotional pregnant lady, so just ignore the crying. As Kyla was sitting, I'm like, I'm going to cry. Okay, so my name is Jessica Young. My children go to Garland Elementary, and I will have a kindergartner this fall of 2024. All right. Hello. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak today. I also want to thank everybody that is involved in our education system. I have enjoyed watching my first grader grow and thrive within this district. I am speaking today in hopes of adding a traditional half-day kindergarten class within our school system, which consists of the entire class being enrolled in half-day. I do see and understand the benefit of all-day for students, and I agree that those also are a great benefit to our school. My daughter that is in first grade did half-day kindergarten last year, and she's doing great. She was able to do art, library, and computers within our half-day class. As a mom that received a survey yesterday about kindergarten, I felt pressured and that I would be in the wrong for choosing half-day based on the wording. I feel like the survey was inaccurate by stating, quote, interventions, extensions, and specials such as PE, library, art, and computers will take place after lunch. Traditionally, these extras, Traditionally, these extras were not offered to half-day students, close quote, when half of these things were offered to half-day classes last year. I feel that if the survey was sent out that wasn't biased or worded in a way that makes parents feel like they need to do all day, that the outcome could be different. I believe that the half-day program can serve as a smoother transition from home to school for young children, and easing them into formal education system gradually can make a difference in how these young students feel about school and confidence in themselves with school. I understand that it is currently an option. However, I feel that leaving students out of certain things because their parents choose for them to go to half-day just doesn't seem fair to them. And I just wanted to end by saying thank you again for all you do.
Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate that. Okay, that's the only 3 individuals I have for public comment. Are there any others that have nothing to do with the school fees? Good? Okay, thank you all. Appreciate your comments tonight. Thank you.
Could I just ask a question?
Sure.
Of the ones that talked tonight, so if a half-day was offered at a different school, would you be willing to drive your children there, or is it you just want it in your school?
Go to a different school that I would leave, that my child may not have the same options of potentially going into the dual immersion. But if it was offered at a different school and my child was given the option to still do the first grade dual immersion, then I would go to the school.
I do the dual immersion as well. So my daughter actually went to Century first, and then we did, so I'm out of bounds. And it was a little bit of a hard transition for her to go to a whole new school, so I would love to stay in the new school, but I would do it if I needed to.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So those parents that spoke tonight, my question is, I would be interested in knowing how you would outline that half a day, school day. You've mentioned, I don't want this, I don't want that, but I want this, and can I do that? And so our teachers are fantastic. And there's probably a very good reason why they do what they do. So I just am really concerned about how you would outline their day. You're going to be telling a teacher how you want her to do her job. Is that fair to say or not? Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever think I was in the right of telling teachers how to do what they need to do, because I don't know how to do
Correct.
what they need to do.
Yes.
It feels like, personally for my child, and I can't speak for everybody's child, but what they did for her half day, the outline worked great for her.
I trust them to pick the outline. I'm mainly just speaking about I want the full class to be having the same structure, right? But they've done a great job. I love our teachers, and I have no problem.
Okay,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
This is for probably Heidi Jo or the superintendent, but like what she said with those extras being after the half day, I'm trying to remember when my kindergarten was in kindergarten. They went to library every day. I do know that because she came home with a book every day, and they did lots of art and things like that. I'm just wondering, has that been, like, what's the structure now where those things are in the afternoon? Because that kind of concerns me too.
Yeah, I can respond to that, and we actually have some administrators here from elementary that they could tack on to. There is some variance amongst all of the schools, but traditionally the half-day kindergarten teachers are not provided with the prep during their instructional day, and it was not part of the funding that we paid for the classrooms to have the prep. So if they went to computers, if they had music, if they had art or library, typically it was the teacher providing that on a very shortened schedule. Now, because the teacher is teaching full day, their class then qualifies for that 30 minutes. But regardless of whether or not we have students attending a half day, we are required by the state to provide the full range of curriculum for the core subjects, which is why they are placed in the morning, which is why, if we opt out of a classroom or a portion of the instructional day.
So has the curriculum changed from when we were just half day to now full? Like, does it take longer?
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
full day model.
There's a full day model that we're required to follow. Okay, that helps. Thank you.
So I don't know, do principals want to tack on in, well, I would say Shaylin Eakins is the only one who probably has experience from various buildings and what that looked like previously.
Yeah, I would just say I've been a principal in 3 buildings and full day models. There's a lot that kids need to learn in kindergarten. There's a lot, we need them to lead being readers, and half day doesn't provide a lot of extras in their day, so I have never had preps built into my half day schedule except for library for the kids to go down, check out a book so that they can have literature in their home. 30 minutes a day when you're talking about 2.5 to 3 hours, taking 30 minutes a day so that they can go do music, go to PE, that's a big ask. Our teachers are really good at building some of those fun things into their curriculum, but the focus on half day is what they need to learn.
Subsequent to the last meeting where Jessica brought up some ideas and some suggestions, we met as elementary leadership team to discuss what are some of these things that we could flexibly do. And as a result of that meeting, principals came up with a solution that they would like to extend an invitation to parents to come into activities, bring their children back when they attend half day. There's some complications with saying, we're going to have our children participate in a half day, but we'd like them to be able to participate in all of the activities. When you're in teacher mode and you're trying to be the responsible party for safety and security of 20 students, hopefully, ideally, and they're not on their typical schedule, and then there's a shift of schedule for the school and different activities, it can become a concern that if we have students brought back and left with the class that they're not part of that typical afternoon number or consciousness, that we wouldn't want them to get lost in the shuffle. So one of the solutions they came up with is that parents would then be invited back to participate with their child in those activities. Class parties, Halloween parades, things like that that happen, so that that's kind of like a great compromise for the parent to come in and be involved and be able to support their child in some of those activities that happen at the school. So that is one adjustment that was made.
This would probably be another question to Heidi Jo. Would there be an opportunity to do a survey to see how many parents might be interested, kind of like we did with the Spanish dual immersion? To see if there was even enough interest to do a half-day, and if it made sense. I understand we probably need two to, make sure that one teacher, we didn't have somebody just a half a day. But anyway, could a survey be done?
Like to do that, we'd be happy to do that.
It worked out well with the Spanish dual immersion. We found out something we didn't know.
I can give you a little experience being a former principal, elementary principal for 30 years. I've been retired now for 10 years, but 20 years ago, we started full-day kindergarten in the district. I know that because my daughter was in a half-a-day kindergarten, and they could not get enough students in the full day because parents thought that, if we put our students in a full day, they'll look like dummies, they won't think they're as smart as other kids, and there was kind of a lot of a stigma around that. And so the principal could not get enough students in the full-day kindergarten. So she happened to call me and she says, wait, is there any way that we can put Sadie into the full-day kindergarten? I said, that would be great. I'd love to have Sadie in the full-day kindergarten. And my personal opinion is, as a parent, that was the best thing I ever did. Her mother agrees with that as well. It truly helped her to, she was an A student all the way through school, and I truly believe that it began at that point. Another thing, as an elementary principal, and I saw this many times, and I saw it a lot in my own son, Cade. He was in a half a day, and it's such a struggle for some kids to go from a half a day kindergarten to a full day in first grade. It probably takes a full month for a lot of students to quit crying and to get over that. But those that are in a full day kindergarten, it's an easy transition to go to a full day first grade. I will never forget my son telling me about the third day in full day in first grade. He's just bawling, and he says, I'll never forget this. He says, Dad, kindergarten was my best grade. And I go, dude, you got a lot of grades to go. So anyway, but I'm just saying that's my personal feelings as a principal and as a parent, but I honor your feelings, and I know how you feel, and I get that, I do. And every parent's different, the way they look at things, and that's how it should be. But anyway, I just wanted to add those couple of things. So, any other comments?
I have a question for Heidi Jo.
Okay.
How does that, how do we give the option of half-day when it comes to testing time? Like when they test before school starts, and if they tested for full day.
That's one of the complications that we would face is that, while we might have 40 parents who initially think half-day kindergarten seems like a really great option for me, when we do testing to place students and determine that students are significantly below grade level, many parents
Will shift to say, then I want to make sure that my child gets the full spectrum of the core subjects so that they can be advanced and be where they need to be. They'll need interventions, and they recognize that, and at that point may opt for a full day class, which could leave us with significantly lower numbers than the interest, which causes a fluctuation of staffing issues year to year. It's very difficult to try to project staffing in August, and we can't test students in May because there's a substantial difference between how 4-year-olds are performing in March, April, and May, and how 5-year-olds are performing in August.
And one more question, are we obligated by the state to provide transportation if there's a half-day option? Or Can we do a half-day option without transportation?
We are obligated to provide a half-day option where we have 10 students or more within a designated area that have elected to do a half-day option. We would have to provide transportation to that area.
Right now, if you choose half day, you don't get transportation.
Because there are not 10 students in any school or within any area.
So if they register and they have 10 students, would they have to deal?
If they were all within the same area, yes, we would have to provide transportation for that.
When you say
So
area, you
having
mean
two
school
classes
boundary.
of 20, we would have to provide midday transportation for those students and classes. We would be required by state law.
Heidi Jo, when you say area, you're talking about school boundary for the Garland boundary, the North Park boundary.
It's not that simple. It's
Okay.
based on routing to areas. So you couldn't just say, yeah, all of Garland's going to get on one bus and we're going to take them, clear out to, or even Fielding, we're not going to go clear up to Factory Street on the same bus that we go to Portage. So it's not really as simple as just saying one school boundary.
Does it have to be 10 students that qualify for busing that are within?
How am I answering this? Dave's right here.
Sorry, Heidi Jo.
I want to not try to correct Heidi, but here's the situation. So if full-day kindergarten is the standard and half-day kindergarten is an option, you are not required to transport students that are making a choice. The exact same philosophy would apply if my boundary school is Garland, but I choose to go to North Park, I do not receive transportation because I'm making a choice that is outside the standard which is occurring for that school. The boundary school is my school, I'm choosing to go to another school, therefore I do not receive transportation. The same thing would apply to the kindergarten. If the standard is full-day kindergarten and half-day kindergarten is optional, transportation is not required. And yes, the only way that you would be eligible for transportation is if you are attending your boundary school, therefore eligible, but you would have to fall within the distance measures of that school in order to be eligible for transportation within that boundary school. So you would have to be 1.5 miles outside of the range of that school to be eligible for transportation, and a minimum of 10 students would have to be required that are eligible in order for us to be required to provide transportation to that boundary school. That was a lot of mishmash. I hope you guys got all that.
Well, based on that, I appreciate that explanation, and because here's what I think. I think these extras and these other things are really important for kindergartners, but I don't think that it is, I think it's still a possibility to come. It does require more work on the parents' part, I guess, but where we're looking at staffing issues, and if you have kids that come up and they need the full day, and I don't know how I just don't know how we can manage that by waiting clear till August. So even though it worked with the Spanish dual immersion to send out a survey, I think this is a little bit of a different scenario in that we don't have the information until August, and we don't have do you know what I'm saying? And I think Heidi Jo had talked about that earlier, and I think the superintendent has said that and I would love to, my daughter was in a half-day kindergarten class, and she had an amazing teacher. I just can't even praise her enough. She had my two youngest. I had two boys in different school, and my two youngest daughters and she worked in they had fun things, but boy, they learned, even in a half-day model. And I know teachers are responsible, but I would love to see the teachers, and I didn't realize the full-day model is so different than the half-day model, which it makes sense that it is, but I love our teachers, and I think they do an amazing job, and especially for parties or things like that, to bring them back, and also the parent be involved in that. I know it's a tough choice to make. I probably wouldn't send my kids to full-day kindergarten, personally, if I had the choice. I wouldn't, and I'm glad I didn't have to make that decision. But I don't think that necessarily means we need to provide. I think we're seeing by studies and seeing by the information that we have that there is a need for all-day kindergarten because we have so many that have tested as a need for it as we're going forward. So that's kind of my opinion, is I don't necessarily want to send out a survey. I think we have this full-day model, and like I said, I feel for you. I really do. But I think the teachers can make it happen within their classrooms, and then also the options that they have.
I agree with Julie that I don't feel we need a survey, and I'll tell you, all the years I worked with kindergarten teachers, they're some of the sweetest teachers I have worked with, and I think they would do anything to help a parent if they wanted to bring their child back in the afternoon to participate in anything. And I think if you just worked with the teachers, it sounds like you are, that they'd be willing to help you in any way they could to make it work. Yes.
So I've been on the board a while, and when I first got on, we had started this kind of pilot kindergarten program, and I later found out it was a pilot for the state of Utah. And so they ran it for a couple of years, and then they tracked the kids that had done full-day kindergarten, and even up to the 5th grade, the kids that had done the full-day kindergarten were leaps and bounds ahead of the kids who had only done half-day. So I'm not saying this to change your mind. I'm just saying there are a lot of reasons why full-day kindergarten is really important. And we have the statistics in our district that showed that these kids in the full-day kindergarten really outperformed for a long time. And so I've got 5 kids. I understand. The littles, we had twins. That was a lovely time. But I just think that a lot of the benefits outweigh a lot of some of our concerns. And just that might be something to consider, that it really shows good progress.
Yes, you can make a quick comment, and we need to move on to the next. Now, what is your name, first of all? From Garland, okay.
Spreading these kids out, so there's one in this class, one in this class, and one in this class. So they don't have, they're isolated, their peers are even, their kid is known as the half-day kid. Right, like you're creating this isolation in the setup of it. And I think that the parents who choose this, like, they're not choosing the easier option, they're choosing the harder option. So if they really are do is give them do what it takes to make them, these are the parents, right? And along with what you said about the parent coming, it's not unlikely that those parents who want to pick up their kids, they probably have multiple little kids at home. So unless you're inviting 4 younger siblings to come and participate in that, it's just not really feasible for that. It makes sense in theory, but it's kind of a specific population that is interested in this, and they're very willing to participate. And education, I think, is really important. I would love if they said, sure, these are the things that your kindergartner should know. These are the things that our teachers look it up in the state, and I can't find it. I don't know where my kindergartner should be. And so I just think education would be really, these are the parents who would be your allies.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments?
So I was just gonna say, I've had children in both. And my experience was, I was finally a stay-at-home mom and was so excited to get to stay home with my middle child before she started kindergarten, and she tested into all day, and I was heartbroken because then I didn't get to spend time with her. But seeing the difference that it made for her was incredible to me. And then it's my youngest's turn to go to kindergarten, and I wanted her in all-day kindergarten, and she didn't get in, and I was also heartbroken. So I understand there's so much emotion in this, and that it is hard to let your 5-year-old go to school all day. But I think seeing it from both sides, the benefit is so great. Emotionally, mentally, socially, there's just so much that they learn in all-day kindergarten. And I don't think this model is different. The state standard is the same. They are required to know the same, correct, Heidi Jo? Whether they go half day or full day, they are tested the same things. And so just seeing the difference there in my kids, I wish everyone could see that before they send their kids to kindergarten. They could see what an all-day class looks like, because I think it's not, I don't know how to word this. It's not as difficult as we think it would be for 5-year-olds. I thought it would be too much, but she thrived there. So, but I understand that there's a lot of emotion here, but that there's also a lot of things to consider affecting teachers and staffing.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. Okay, thank you, everyone, for your comments. We do appreciate that. And thank you, moms, for coming, all of you, and for giving your input. We do appreciate that. So we'll now move on to our public comment for our school fees, and we have to do a separate thing on that. So we need to make a motion and a second and a vote to open public comment for our school fees.
I'll make a motion.
All at once?
I'll make a motion that we open public comment for the discussion of school fees.
Okay, Connie Archibald has made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Julie Taylor has made the second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we will now have.
Just a second, sorry. It's not on school fees. It's the public hearing on the 5th grade maturation curriculum. Sorry, that's what the hearing's for.
Okay, no, public comment on school fees. That's
Oh,
what it says.
okay, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. You're right.
So we're okay?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the
Good.
next one.
Okay, so we
Thank
got-
you.
Woo, coming off guard there for a minute. Okay. Okay, absolutely, you bet. Yes, because Keith, our assistant superintendent, Keith Meekum is over school fees, so he'll explain a little bit and then we'll have a public comment. Okay?
As you know, the last couple years, we have spent a lot of time trying to itemize the athletic piece, the activities, the co-curricular clubs. You know, we've raised those fees to try to make them look actual, right? And I commend the board for your great questions and insight. And we're moving in a really, I think, realistic, positive direction. I think parents have appreciated that what is listed is now listed, and there isn't this under, oh, I didn't know about that, and I need 5 more here and 15. And by the way, if we qualify for that, it's all sort of out there. And so anyway, that we've done a lot of work the last couple of years in that arena. What we discovered in an audit is that our lump fee that we have been charging, and if I recall, I did a little research, but it was about 08, 09, somewhere in there, our 2 high school principals were like, this is very frustrating. A kid comes in, they have math and science and language arts, but then they have woodworking, and then all of a sudden they say, well, I want to drop woodworking, but there was a fee associated with each class. And some classes, specifically CTE type courses, cost more to provide. If I'm doing like food and nutrition and the amount of food that we cook and the different ingredients we need, it costs more to fund that class. So back in about 08-ish, I was still a teacher at the time. It was so frustrating for administration, for parents, for kids to say, well, I want to take that class. Well, that's actually going to be an extra $20. Whoa. And so kids were making choices based on their pocketbook, if you will, which was a little frustrating at times. Now, for those that were a little more well-to-do, they just paid it and it wasn't a problem. For those that qualified for a fee waiver, they were waived and it wasn't a problem. But that middle group was the one that sometimes had to make a decision, not based on love, choice, interest, but based on, can we afford that, mom or dad? So thus, we kind of went to this standard fee. So I want to show what our standard fee looks like this year. I'm talking current, 23-24. In the upper left-hand corner, we have a general class fee for Bear River High at $91. That's same at Box Elder at $91. Going to the middle school, $65. Obviously, we have a student body, you know, those activity fees that kids get to do a variety of things, buy shirts, positive behavior interventions, giving gifts for, you know, accomplishing certain things. But this general class fee of flat fee, and it didn't matter what class I took, I could take any class I wanted in the book. If I took all of the expensive CTE woodworking that probably could have cost me $250, I only had to pay the flat fee. And we ran a number on, happened to be one of our administrators currently at a secondary at the high school level. And just based on kind of what we think their fee was probably $30 less than what they actually paid, because it was a lump sum. We take the money and we go, math, science, language arts, facts, and we throw it out that way. Well, unfortunately, according to state school fees, czars, we cannot do that anymore. Now, I just told you the frustration that parents might have about this, but I want you to know that I agree with you. That it is a little frustrating because it feels like we're going backwards. And it was predictable. Oh, I got $91. I'll pay my $91, $20 for a student body fee. Boom. And you know what you're going to have to pay per kid. And again, just so you know, there's only school fees in 6 through 12. K-5 don't have, I mean, they might have recommendations of supplies if you'd like to, but really there's nothing. It's provided. So, where we're headed now is that 91 is going away. The 65 is going away. The intermediate fee, coming down here to the two intermediates, the 54 for 6th grade, 25 and 25, all those go away. However, what we have to add now is a fee per class, per try. Sounds fun, huh? So, this is mandated by the state board. Well, I don't think we've actually been in compliance. Now, I'm not saying hey, I've already talked to them. I'm just saying. No. Now, we do have some things that are itemized, but not per class, per student. So, an auditor is going to come in and they're going to look for Kyler Meekum. And they're going to look at Kyler Meekum's 18 classes. And they're going to say, okay, he took math, so that's $9. And he took language arts, so that's 9 more, we're at 18. Had release time, that doesn't count. And then you can see it, and then eventually they're going to say, this student should have paid $73. Well, they're going to look on how much was paid by the parent, it says $73. Check. This student, Brant Meekum, came in and took woods that was $40, took food and nutrition was $20, and the next thing we know, we're paying $250. Did they pay $250? Check. What gets a little dicey is we're going to change classes. No, honestly, as soon as school starts, we say, here's your class. And then all of a sudden, parent A, B, or C is going, whoa. Sorry. Stay with me here, Robert. Thank you. Now what happens is all of a sudden, they come in and they say, I got to drop that, can't take that, there's a conflict here. And all of a sudden, we have a new amount. You either owe or we need to reimburse. Our financial secretaries are scared to death to go back to the 2008 version, where before it was just flat fee, done. Access to different courses based on interest, need, as opposed to financial. We're still talking about those that qualify for fee waivers, period. That's not going to change. But there is a group now, instead of saying, hey, just take whatever you want. What do you want to take? Let's take that. But eventually they are going to have to decide, ooh, can I afford that class? And although I disagree with it philosophically, legally, and where the state is moving all of us, we have to itemize. So, Wouldn't have that been a nice email for me to explain to all the parents? I will tell you that this year, we've created a new document. In this new document, number one, I've tried to let people know that approved school fees, they can still look at the old. I've now got all of the legality, the rules, everything, so people know what that looks like in the first tab. The second tab is our athletic one. You'll discover that we have tweaked a couple things. Advisors, coaches have come in and said, hey, can we just tweak a little bit? And so you'll see that those are, I think they're yellow, but that does not look like yellow to me. Okay, looks green, but that's okay. So you'll see that that's sort of a change from last year's. This is the athletic one. But let me show you what it's going to look like now from a high school parent, for example. So we still have our student activities incentives. We still have that amount. But then, and all of this stuff is just, you know, depending on unique things. But then we're going to get down here to, I'm going to take an AP biology. It'll be $6. And there's spend plans that teachers are putting in place so that a parent will know what we're going to buy with this fee. Okay? Our principals have worked their guts out. We've analyzed, worked with financial secretaries. We have spent a ton of time on this. Really, our goal was to try to not make it a bigger impact, like to try to keep our fees about where we were this year. But it won't be that way for every parent, because if I choose certain things, I'll just give you an example. If I take release time and home release, there's no money coming into the school. Parents aren't gonna have to pay for those expenses. But this year it was a flat fee they would have paid. So we're gonna see some students are less and some students are more. And that might cause some grief, and I can empathize with every parent that is upset about that. But I can also say that if you're gonna take the more expensive classes, and we have to itemize, that you have to pay what it actually costs for those classes. Whereas the last 15, 16 years, we have just distribute that evenly. So before we open up public comment, which I know you already have, but is there any questions from the board that I can help clarify? And then, Julie.
Is this per semester or
Per try.
per try? So thank you.
So there's 18 classes.
So like if they're like, just for this example right here, so if I see that because I got kids, so I'm just
So
want to know
ag
what's going
bio is
on.
going to be 3 per
Per
try.
try.
If
So
it's
if you
if it's an AP course, it's
That's
3
3
tries.
tries.
But you know, some math classes are 2. At the middle school and the intermediate, they're 3.
So is that gonna be outlined so parents know that this is a 3 trimester class, this is a 2, because.
Well, I'll just give you, here's what we do know.
That exactly, math.
Math, 6, 7, 8, 9 are 3 tries. Language arts, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3 tries. Science, math, 6, 7, 8 are 3 tries, 9 is 2 tries. But your schedule is going to show it.
Sure.
And so there'll be a price tag associated with your
Schedule.
registration.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Now,
So
one
it
of the
would be-
things that we have talked about, we're in cahoots with other districts to figure this out, is rather than saying, you know, school fees start on August 1 and pay your fees, what we're going to say is register for school, and then around the 3rd week of August, before the 4th week starts, we're going to have a schedule change. Let everybody change their schedules. And then after school starts, now we're going to go and say, Keith Meekum family, you owe us blank. And Heidi Joe West's family is going to owe blank.
Because in the past, we had to pay before we got the schedule.
Yeah, they've got
They've got that
you
worked
can have
out, okay.
access to your schedule now. We found out that doesn't hold water. It was nice because people don't always pay their fees, but we can't hold their schedule.
Keith, you mentioned that you were working with other districts to try and figure this out. So are other districts like we were and just doing a base fee?
Yeah. I will just tell you something that you might find really interesting.
Let me finish my thought and then I want to hear more.
Okay.
So we've had the same auditors for a couple years, and the auditors only found it this year, but nothing's changed at the state. So it just seems a little odd to me, but I'm not It's just a fact. I'm not saying here nor there, but I'm glad other districts were doing it too. We weren't the only one, but now,
It was a finding in this year as well as last year.
But this year, he pointed out more heavily, and when they audit, they can't, even begin to audit the whole $140 million budget. So they audit different portions of the budget at different times, Dave, is that correct?
That is
And
correct. And
this year,
also-
they emphasized this portion of it, and that's why we had this.
There was political pressure for external independent auditors to audit school fees this year.
I would just like to add one final comment. Currently, Box Elder and Bear River this year, the high school students paid $91. I looked at a school district down south, and they had a general fee that was $100 before they even started taking classes. We were 9 below before they even walked in the door. I would like to show the audience and each of you, and this is probably hard to do. I thought it might be interesting to let you know how much fees we've gathered from our parents as part of the amount. But I think there was a role in 2021-22 where we could actually have kids help pay for our Chromebooks. It's a $30 fee to help pay for the Chromebooks. That got eliminated, and so you saw that all of a sudden it's less. So you can kind of see by school, what is it going to look like next year? We're hoping it looks about the same, but it won't be equal across the board because not everybody's schedule is going to be equal across the board.
So can we raise extra for that class change fee to take care of all what the book comes out?
Not supposed to.
Well, we're gonna have to figure that out, but here's what we can't do. Everything we charge has to have a spending plan, and spending plans are being created right now if you approve, which you're not gonna approve tonight. We're just gonna talk, and people can talk, and I'm done talking. But in March, when you approve, then spending plans to make sure that everybody knows how the money's gonna be spent will happen.
I have a question. And I think it could go either way, and I don't know that it will work out either way. So try to follow along. What happens if wood shop, wood is this expensive when we create fees, and it's either 3 times higher when the class actually happens, or if a miracle happened and it dropped? How do we track that and refund? Or I guess we would eat the cost if it's more. But if it was less, do we have to refund?
Yes.
So we have to track inflation in the price.
Which is hard, because here we are,
Like, it
it's
would be the same for
February,
food,
it's
so
February
the-
24, and they're gonna buy wood in March of 25. And that point is exactly correct, which is why I like the flat fee deal, but we're not gonna go there anymore. So with that said, can I share this? That is wrong. Sorry. This. I just received these today. I will not be able to attend the meetings, but I'd like to submit my feedback. I think all fees should be higher. That's the trend I see anyway, and my hope is that with higher fees comes a higher standard of education. Parents should bear the burden and invest in their children's education whenever possible, and not wait for the school district or the Department of Education to provide and enact more funding and/or necessary changes concerning K-12 education. I believe better education starts at home with the student and finally the education system. Sincerely, Pierre Bournier. French, anyone? Anyway, another one that was sent to me today. As a parent, I'm concerned and disappointed that this notice was sent out the day of the meeting, which is being held on Valentine's Day. And I will just tell you that I will take full responsibility. I've been working on this, and it keeps changing, and the state czar finally called me, and we were working on it this morning at 7, and I sent it out as soon as I felt like we were, so I'm guilty. We got to get this done by April, though. And finally, today is also the State Girls Wrestling Championship, which has many parents out of the area. Is the school board not interested in having parents attend or give feedback? As for the proposal, I adamantly oppose this move. As a state, we already give the schools every cent from our property tax. We're expecting that this move will simply allow a ratcheting up of fees year after year. If the schools can figure out how to stay on budget, then some leadership changes need to be made. Mikan and Phil Harding. I will pass on anything else that comes on this document. It'll just be kind of reoccurring, so you can keep the pulse on during the month. And with that, I am sorry to take your time.
May I just add one thing, Keith? This public hearing is the first of two. We have to have it next month, and so these folks' concerns, they could come next month. Yes, and then we'll present this to the board to be voted on next month after two full public hearings.
Okay, okay.
I already said that in the email today to all of them, but I will send it out again just as, and maybe some clarification of some things, especially as I hear it. But you can see that this is a complicated.
No, I appreciate all you're doing, but maybe send it out like 5 days in advance.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's posted on our district news, on our district website. Right. But just in case you have any questions, it's right there.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll start our public comment now on school fees. Anyone want to comment on those? Okay, if you would come up, we'll have the same rules. If you give your first and last name, and also you have 3 minutes. If you're here with the group, you get 6, okay? Okay, come on up. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm Clint Flinders. Hi, Julie. I have 4 kids. They're all in elementary school at Lakeview Elementary School. And so this won't apply to them till later. But I understand the decisions with money are difficult, and it's not easy to come upon this, and you're mandated by the state to comply. But what sets us apart from other educational options, like charter schools, I hate to say that, is our inclusivity and accessibility. That's what sets us apart, that everybody can be a part of it. And the more we move to this pay-to-play option that I'm seeing up there, that I kind of felt was what I was going to see, is, I mean, you can brand it the way that you want, but education, like other things we have in our society, like the military, are great equalizers. They're great equalizers to be able to come at an entry level and do the flat fee. That's what gives us strength, that we have that. And children don't have control over what their parents will pay for. You guys do. You have control over that. And the children will not. So it's for us to be able to lift everybody up and have accessibility for that. And again, I thank you guys all for the hard work that you do.
Thank you, Clint. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Sir? Did you have? Come on up. First and last name, and you got 3 minutes, okay?
I'm Dr. Hans Christian Anderson. So I've got 3 kids that are pretty young. We're just starting out here. And this isn't initially what we came here for, but now I'm invested. I think it's an interesting topic. Yeah, I guess I have one question for you, and that's, at the state level, who can we apply pressure to try and have the state adopt a flat fee model? Because that just seems to make a lot more sense. It's easier logistically, requires less work, like that. Yeah, so I think, more students benefit from the flat rate fee, as you presented it. So, what can we do as parents to try and push that kind of a flat fee?
This is the U.S. State Board of Education. If you were utah.gov, type in school fees, and then they have down here at the bottom, contact us.
Okay.
And that's where you can get feedback and information.
Okay.
Probably more pressure would be applied if you went to your local legislators.
Okay.
They ultimately.
I'm not, so I'm not sure, I'm not sure the procedure is part of what the law was passed. So the legislature passes the law, and then that goes to the State Board of Education. Then they make the procedures and refine it and define it to pass to us. So there are a policy manual or things that are absolutely we cannot do because of the legislature. Then there's the procedure manual on how those laws are done.
Okay.
So is that correct? Is that where I'm at? Is that?
And I might also
So,
add, just so you know, currently in this legislative session, there is a movement by, I think it's House Bill 415, to get rid of all school fees. The only problem with that is there's no fiscal note associated with it.
Oh, okay. So there's no, then you just don't have any budget. Yeah.
Now we're talking not extracurricular, but curricular.
Yeah.
If that passed, then a board would have to decide, how are we going to make up for $611,000?
Yeah.
And that would be a decision and a discussion. But that's currently being debated, maybe not right now, but this week. And so all of this may be for, I hate to say it, not. It's feeling pretty good.
Last year, it just about passed, but it had a $40 million fiscal note attached to it. And so this year, they're not attaching a fiscal note. Here's what would, to be quite honest, here's the issue. Do we want to have these things in place? Yes, we do. We can't charge fees for it. Where does it come from? Our only avenue locally is property tax. And so that's really where the issue comes. Is that you, Keith?
My timer.
Just so you know, Representative Tom Peterson lives here in Brigham City, and Senator Scott Sandel. We also have Matthew Gwynn, who's in Roy area. There are two House representatives and the one senator there, where we can have our local input.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on school fees? Okay, thank you all for your comments tonight. We do appreciate that. Okay, we will move on to our action items. First of all, our public hearing on fifth grade maturation curriculum, and that's going to be Keith Meekum again.
Wow, this is exciting. Somehow I got kicked out, so let me get back in here real quick.
Yes.
Okay.
Some comment period.
Okay.
Required 2 months.
Okay.
So, back in January, we sent out, I shared with the board the videos that were, the human sexuality.
Keith, I think we're supposed to open the hearing. This is what I said earlier. Do we open the hearing and then you can start your explanation? So can we do that?
Oh, sure, I didn't realize that. Okay.
I'll move, we
Okay.
open the hearing on the maturation curriculum.
Okay, we have a motion by Nancy Kennedy. Is there a second? Okay. Karen Cronin has made the second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. It is open. Keith?
Last board meeting, I presented the findings of the Human Sexuality Committee of suggesting that the maturation videos that we presented be considered. We did open it up for comment from 4th and 5th grade parents. I did not open it up to everybody, but 5th grade, because our hope is if it's approved, we would actually do it this spring, and 4th grade, because it would be the next year's crop. Just to note to everybody that a parent can opt out of this presentation at school, can watch at home, can come to school. It's very flexible. But anyway, we showed the video. We won't show it again. I just wanted to let you know of the public comment. And maybe you've read this. It's listed there. I can say that I don't know how you'd like me to do that. I could read every one. I would just say that one was just bugged that you did it tonight. One felt like they didn't go far enough, and per the health standards in 5th grade. I'm not sure we can go far enough. But overall, they felt like the videos were good. All the other comments were very, very favorable, that it was age appropriate, that it was well done, that it was concise, and it was done in a way that facilitated conversation in a positive way. So I just wanted to, anyway. And I'm sure to have 9 comments from 1,800 parents is not a statement that I think I could, represent. But I will say, based on what was shared, was it's favorable, it's positive. So I don't know what else there is, any questions you might have.
Okay. If there's no questions, we just need a motion. Okay. Okay. Audience, do you have any comments or anything on the maturation curriculum? Excuse me? You liked it. Okay, good. Yes? You bet. Come on out. Just state your name, first and last name. We appreciate that.
Cassandra Merrill. The only comment I have, I love the video, I didn't watch all of it, but the only comment, I'm not saying to change it for this time around, but to change it again in the future, is just including parents or guardians, because at least the one for girls kept saying, talk to your mom, talk to your mom. And I know a lot of kids don't have their mom at home. So just not saying change it, because that's a lot of work for this video, but just in the future, if you're ever doing it, just kind of put in there mom, parent, guardian, just my comments, so.
Could you tell us your name again, please?
Cassandra Merrill.
Cassandra, thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Maybe just add that the pendulum swung from parent only to parent guardian, and now all the rules are back to parent. A parent is a parent is a parent, regardless of natural adoption, etc. But that's good feedback. But that is kind of where we've swung back from a state law standpoint, is that all parents are parents and considered parents is under one name, if you will. But thank you for that.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay.
I move that we close the public hearing.
Okay.
For the maturation clinic.
Tiffany Summers has made the motion. Do we have a second? Oh, Brian Smith has made the second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it is now closed, so we can go ahead and do the vote. Okay, so we can now vote on the maturation curriculum.
Make a motion, we approve the presented maturation curriculum.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, Karen Cronin is making the motion, and Danielle Wright has done the second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Okay, now we'll go on to the approval of the amended 2024-25 district calendar. And that's Mark Taylor. Are you going to do this?
Could I take Mark's spot?
Yes.
So Mark was over at Utah.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Did we do that right?
That's true. Oh, now we still need to do F2, right, Keith?
No, you just did that.
We just did that, right? Okay, so.
Oh, the hearing then is, okay, yep, you're correct. So now we are.
This is a complicated agenda.
It is.
Usually it's a lot easier than that. Okay,
Yeah, if we-
so, here we go. Okay, Keith, you're on then, okay.
So Mark's not here. He's hiring teachers at Utah State today and tonight, and he's doing a great job, and as well as many other administrators helping us there. There were a couple changes we wanted to note, and if I could just note what they are. Oh boy, that's either my eyes are bad, or you can't see it, or I can't see it. I will tell you that the secondary first trimester parent-teacher conferences, we just wanted to move that back a week. Somehow it got shifted to the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of September. We needed to be 1 week later on the 30th, the 1st and the 2nd. Also, from another secondary parent-teacher conference was the one in January. And why it got, anyway, I'm not sure how it got stuck on 7, 8, 9, but we're moving it back to a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Having parent-teacher conference on a Monday for our secondary high schools, they have generally no conflicts on Monday. And so having them on a Monday instead of a Tuesday certainly helps our staff be there. Also, elementary moved theirs up. Is that right, Heidi Jo? Did I get in February?
Yeah.
They were 26, 27, right?
Yes. And then we moved our PD days too. It was on February 14th, but we felt like that's a core day for students to want to attend. And also it conflicts with the Utah Association of Elementary School Principals Conference. More, it was a core day. So we moved that day later in May, but it doesn't look like, oh yeah, that's got on there, May 2nd, to give teachers some revamping time before the end of the year.
So we'll have our PD days at the end of October. We'll have one in March and one in May. And so we're,
First,
yeah,
because the
November
day after
1st.
Halloween.
Yeah, the day after Halloween. Wow, that seems strategic. But our motion from Mark would be that we would just make those subtle adjustments. We do ask, I mean, the bill says 90 days in advance, and I think we're well within that to have the board approve that. So if you would consider that.
Just an FYI, I'm not sure, I think it was December, we actually approved the agenda. We asked the board to approve it. Since that time, we've just had more clarity on some of these things, and some of these things have actually come out about parent-teacher conference, and the PD day, and trying to have the PD day after Halloween, you know, the timing of all these things works. So you have approved the board calendar, now we're just approving some amendments.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
I will make a motion, President Hyde, to approve the amended 2024-25 district calendar.
Connie Archibald has made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Nancy Kennedy has made the second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it has been amended. Now we'll go on to the approval of the FY25 capital improvements, and that's Corey Dodson. Corey is our facilities director.
Okay, so the reason I'm coming to you in February, I've done that for probably the last 3 years, is that we find we can get better prices on our projects the sooner that we can bid those before summer. If we wait until May or June to get those bids, then the contractors already have full schedules for the summer, and we're paying a premium. So that's why I'm here tonight. And if you notice on the spreadsheet, there are some blanks. And that's because we're still working on some of those bids, but I didn't want to put this off until we have all those bids. And I'll explain that a little bit. So the way that I build this list of proposed projects is a combination of sources. One is talking with the schools, what they're in need of. It's my maintenance crew and what they're seeing is needed. And then what I've seen also is needed. And then we set a priority on those. We have high priority, medium priority, and a low priority, and then we have other categories. And that just helps us to basically decide what we can afford to do. And then in the end of so I first built this list, and then I meet with our construction manager in early December, which gives them time to develop some estimates on costs. These are not hard bids. These are estimated pricing for what the project is. Then last year and this year, we did something we hadn't done before, which really worked out well. And we meet with a committee, with our capital improvement committee, the end of January, once I get these estimates, or at least most of the estimates. So we did that with 4 of the board members the end of January. And then through that process, that committee helped us to move around some of the priorities and add maybe some projects. So we have the high, middle, and low and then the other. And if you notice on the main that has all the fun colors, at the bottom it shows a total of I wish it was 3,924,045. So working with Dave Roberts on what our budgets would allow, he feels like, and this is in line with what we've done in the past, that I can request $2.5 million. Now, that doesn't cover all these costs, and that's why we have the priorities. We would hit the high priorities first, then the middle, and we could do both of those. But this list also kind of becomes fluid throughout the season. I've already had another project hit that we missed on this list, and that is...
sewer in Bear River?
We fixed the sewer at Bear River Middle School, and it smells a lot better.
That's in this year's budget, we gotta find
So
that.
how,
We already took care of it.
so my, if we had one rupture, how old are the rest of the pipes under there, and do we just wait for the next low spot?
Yes, so everybody cross your fingers. So that 4-inch cast iron that did break was original to the building. So when we're talking a building that was built and plumbing in 1962, I believe, those are some issues that we're going to start addressing. Our hope and the intent is that it does not get to that point, that we catch that leak sooner and we don't have as big of a cleanup. I would commend everybody involved in that. They did a wonderful job in getting on it quickly. The state was great to work with. I called the state on Thursday and said, we have an emergency. And Joel Reeder, the adjuster with the state, said, go to it, you have our approval. Here's a disaster cleanup company that is on state contract, and that's who we'd send you to anyway. Let's get it done. And because of that, the students were on virtual learning Thursday afternoon and Friday, back in school on Monday. And the disaster cleanup crew was working there through Sunday. So,
Corey, would you clarify when you said the state, you actually meant state risk management, which is our insurance?
yes, state risk management did back us up on this and was really good to work with. Thank you.
Before we move past this, thank you for getting, I mean, you and your crew, we're grateful.
I did the easy part. I dialed the phone number. It was my crew, specifically Casey, Larry, and Tate, that actually suited up and went down and fixed the broken pipes so that disaster cleanup could come in and do their job.
Well, Corey, you also did a very nice job on the nightly news.
Oh.
I was impressed.
But they didn't use my dumb dad jokes.
Corey, what was the new theme to add?
Okay, so, yeah, thank you, getting me back on track. No, so getting me back on track, we were up at Bear River High School. They have a parking lot, a student parking lot. It's the old driver's ed range, and that parking lot, it's a large one, and it is in need of a crack seal and seal coat, which I have quite a bit of asphalt repair on this list this year. We're just going to have to we'll prioritize as the bids come in. We'll do some line items, and we can afford this or this project. Okay, we're going to have to wait till next year, and doing some picking and choosing on that. So, let's see. Kind of lost my train of thought. I'll get back on here. So, there are some things on here that are still blank but do need to be addressed. I'm getting some prices on that. For instance, the new bleachers in the balcony and the balcony flooring. This is at Bear River Natatorium. I would initially hope that we could do each of those line items for under $20,000. So hopefully we have the bulk of the, the cost there. Another one, just an example of what we do and try to make this list more fluid is at Box Elder High School in the Commons, we have some damage to the polished concrete. Initially, if we were to go in there and grind the entire floor and start from scratch, we're looking over $300,000. We're looking at options that are going to hopefully cost us around 25 to 30, 50,000, and really reducing that. So it does become fluid, and where this is, you know, over a $4 million possible need, I'm asking for 2.5 million, and we just make this fluid and we address as many of those items as we can, and certainly address the high and the middle priorities.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Cory?
President Hyde, if it's not too soon, I move the proposed fiscal year 2025 budget for capital improvement projects be approved for 2.5 million.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Tiffany Summers made the motion, Connie Archibald the second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's passed,
Okay,
Cory.
thank you, I
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much, appreciate it. Okay, now Superintendent, the resolution to support Granite School District.
If many of you watch the news, it's been one of the main topics for the last probably 8 to 10 days. And last Friday at the Joint Legislative Committee, Granite School District Board of Education got up in front of the Joint Legislative Committee and asked for support from the school districts throughout the state to support the resolution that Granite had presented forth. And Nancy and Tiffany were at that meeting, and I asked them what they thought. And so we're bringing that resolution forth. I will read that now. This is something unique that in my 23 years as superintendent, never been part of. But just quickly, as you may or may not know, Natalie Klein is a member of the Utah State Board of Education. On her private, I'm not sure what form, but her private social media, she posted a picture of a young lady from Granite School District in a basketball uniform, and had a statement that basically just said, girls basketball, ... And this young, question mark, that's what it was. This young lady had short hair and had, by her, you've probably seen her father on TV, had worked out a lot and was fairly muscular, but it's his daughter. And so this particular board member has made a lot of statements the last year and a half, and so therefore Granite wanted everybody to stand up and support. If I could, I'll enlarge my copy just a little bit. This is the resolution. I drafted it based off of Granite's. I probably softened it just a little bit, but if anybody wanted to make a change or whatever, we could. But this is the resolution. Resolution of support for Granite School District Board of Education. During a regular board meeting held on February 14, 2024, the Board of Education of Box Elder School District passed the following resolution. Now, that's, of course, saying this is what you want to do. Passed the resolution condemning the actions of Utah State Board member Education, Utah State Board of Education member Natalie Klein. Whereas Box Elder School District's mission statement is, Box Elder School District will ensure high levels of learning for all students. And we do honestly try our very best to live by that mission statement. And we talk about high levels of learning, and high levels of learning is at grade level or above. And all students means all students, regardless of race, regardless of any type of handicap, regardless of religion, regardless of gender, regardless of anything. And so we feel like this is an affront on our mission statement. We believe that all students should be treated with dignity and respect. Whereas we recently witnessed a deplorable form of bullying from Utah State Board member Natalie Klein on social media post that targeted a student from Granite School District. Whereas every child deserves and has the right to learn and participate in a safe educational environment. Therefore, we condemn anyone who would bully or target any student for any reason, but especially those in positions of power who are specifically elected to represent and protect our children. We resolve that such behavior is cowardly, harmful, and unacceptable. We are responding to the Granite School Board of Education's request to join in demanding Board Member Klein's immediate resignation from the State Board of Education.
President Hyde, are you ready
Yes.
for a motion?
Oh, any comments on that?
Just I've been listening today, as I've been listening to the legislature in the meeting. They did hold a meeting at the State Board of Education, an executive committee meeting in closed session to discuss this. And her comments today make me even madder about the whole thing. She's very much, oh, they're all attacking me. I have rights. You're taking away my rights. And it's like, you have no context of what you've done to this child, and yet you're demanding the dignity and respect that you did not give her, which made me even madder. So anyway, I'd happily sign this.
Okay, so, okay,
I do want to make one comment. I get a little concerned, I think in the culture that we have today, it's, when I heard that this resolution was going to come for our vote, that there isn't an opportunity to really understand, the details of what's happened. I don't know this person or exactly what happened. So I did all I could to get on, learn about what happened, what exactly was said, try to find some good sources. And also, we don't give opportunity for people to make mistakes, and I'm not saying in this circumstance, but those were concerns that I started thinking about as this issue came up. But as Nancy has said, I totally support the resolution, and that we need to take a stand on this. But a couple of points that I wanted to make.
I just have one comment. As I followed this and even reading comments today on the news articles, I was just so shocked by the number of people that were still standing up and saying she did nothing wrong, and that were praising her for protecting students when that's not what she did. I really wish we work so hard to teach students about online bullying, and a lot of them I think are learning it from home. They see what their parents are doing on social media, and I think a lot of this stems from that, and I hope this is a good wake-up call for parents all over the state to be better as well.
I do not like what she did. I kind of had some of the feelings Brian did. I don't really like the word condemn in there. Condemn means pass judgment on, and I don't feel like that I'm worthy of passing judgment on there. So I'm wondering if there might be another word other than condemn that we might use.
I think I would easily condemn the action. And if that hadn't stood out as a concern to me, but
I could do condemn the action.
But I could absolutely, I think, condemn the action, and yeah. It says condemn anyone.
It says condemn
who-
anyone.
Condemn the action.
Therefore, we condemn anyone. I'm looking at therefore we condemn
Okay,
anyone.
but it does refer to the action of what they do, so I understand that as well, so strike that comment, I guess.
I think we condemn the action, but I don't think that we are the judge to condemn any person.
Okay, I'm fine with making that change.
As far as my comment, I read that differently now. I'm fine with it the way it is, actually.
Okay, so we can.
How does the group feel? I guess that's a group, that's
I will make a motion.
to accept what we have.
I will make a motion that we accept the resolution as written in regards to this Utah State Board of Education member.
Okay, we have a motion by Connie Archibald, a second by Nancy Kennedy. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I oppose. I just would prefer to condemn the action.
Okay, so we just make note of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
You got that, Dave? Yep.
Okay. Okay, so the motion does pass, and of the resolution to support the Granite School District. Okay, now we'll move on to our information items. We have Box Elder County Chamber of Commerce. Monica, hold away. Monica, it's all yours. Thank you for coming tonight.
We're only 40 minutes late, so not too bad.
Keith Mika, will you please pull up the chamber website? Can you do that? So just boxelderchamber.com. Hopefully, at the high school, I can't pull this up. When I was teaching down there, it wouldn't let me pull it up. But I'm hoping you guys can pull it up. You can pull up my website. Anyway, I'm just kind of giving you guys an update of how we partner with the school district, and you guys may not even know everything that the chamber does. So first of all, we do the career fairs at the high schools. We've done them for the last, actually our very first one was supposed to be in 2020, and it got canceled. But we did one in 21, 22, and then 23, and then this year. And last year and this year's are really, they're amazing. I don't know if Melissa did it last year, where we actually have worked with our Tom Davidson and Brickell. And we go in and we take 2 hours out of the day in the springtime. And instead, while the teachers in their rooms, we also put a business in each room. So we had about 40 businesses at Bear River High School and about 50 businesses at Box Elder High School. And then the kids, every student there is able to go and learn about 5 different careers for those 2 hours. So every 15 minutes, they change rooms and learn more about a different career. So this year's is April 9th and April 16th. Bear Rivers is first, then Box Elders. We've already got people signed up. Newport Still will be there. Bullcraft has 2 rooms. Post is already signed up. So a lot of our large employers. I also have a good business owner who is a retired pilot that comes. We have an attorney that comes. So we have a very wide array. We have from McDonald's to Northrop Grumman represented at the high school. And so kids are able to go in and learn about that. If the students go in and do visit 5 different classes and 5 different careers, then they put their name in a bucket. We have a little paper they have. And at the end of the day or the next day, your staff pulls out and we award scholarships. And last year we gave away $3,500 to each school, which was 2 $1,000 scholarships and 3 $500 scholarships, so 5 students from each school. And this year we'll be able to do more because we've already raised over $10,000 for that day. So we're really excited about that. It is also the only scholarship, I think, that is eligible to anyone, because as long as they do this program, we just draw it out. We don't care about their GPA, as well as because it is from sophomores to seniors. If they want to use it for a high school expense, like their fire trip to California or whatever, we will write a check to the high school. It just has to be made to a school. But I talked to one girl and she was using it for her cosmetology kit. And I actually saw her and she was like, thank you, it really helped. And we just gave out another scholarship last week. Yes, I think it was, yes. Yeah, it's like, I think, yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, so it's eligible, and like I said, we're gonna do it, and we really appreciate Tom Davidson and Brickell. They're the feet on the ground in the school. But if you wanna see something, talk about businesses and partnering in education, please come. Come and see it. It's April 9th at Bear River and April 16th at Box Elder. I actually was in California last week with 300 other chamber people, and we were sitting around the table getting to tell what was the best thing we did in 2023. And I used that as an example, and my table picked me as, wow, that's really cool. So other people want to know how to do this, other districts, other chambers in Utah want to. We're very lucky, we only have 2 high schools. Like some of the bigger districts have way too many high schools. But we're really excited about that. The other thing we've done the last 3 years, this is our 3rd year or 4th year, is we do at the after COVID, our ambassador group, which is a volunteer group for the chamber, decided to do Hometown Hero Awards. And so every year, at the end of the year, we ask the principals from every school in the district to pick a teacher and to pick an employee support professional that deserves an award. And then our ambassadors go out to the schools and give that. And there was lots of discussion on what we should give. Baskets, all that stuff. We decided they just need cash. So we give them a $100 prize. And so each year we're able to give a teacher and an employee support professional a prize. I'm very strong that teachers are great, but the employee support professionals, we couldn't do it without them too. So we've given them to cafeteria workers, to janitors, to paras, to librarians, to secretaries. It's been like the wide gamut. So just know, like, we're investing in education and we really want to support you guys. Now, the one thing I did want to show you, so this is going to be funny. Okay, Keith, I can't do it. Oh my gosh, he's moving. Yeah, he knows why I'm struggling. Anyway, okay, can you click on economic information? Okay, now let's hope. Because of the high school, it didn't work. Yes, it worked. Okay, so this is an economic dashboard. If there's numbers to be updated, it updates automatically every 30 days. It is something that I got a workforce grant, and this is the first thing I did with the grant. We're going to be doing some other things, but this is the first step. And this is for use for government. I've been going to the government agencies. I've been going to businesses. It's a use for everything. So Box Elder County population, Brigham City population, you're all saying that's wrong. It is by zip code, so Perry is included in there. Then Tremont, it is everything that's 84337. Sorry, Connie, you have to hear this again. I already went to Tremont City before the end of the year. And then it has jobs, how many jobs are in the area. Okay, scroll down. Nope, you're fine. I'll just say, scroll down. Keep going to the next slide. Yep, there you go. This is population trend. So this is the forecast for the area, which obviously as a school district would probably entice you to be like learning. You can click on them and stuff and it will tell you numbers. But basically we are definitely in the growth pattern and it's just going to keep coming to Box Elder County. So it's called Lightcast. It was MZ and another company, but they merged. They are the biggest national demographic information. So they're the company that goes out and scrubs the internet, I think is what they call it, or scrapes the internet and gets these numbers. They use the Census Bureau. They use the American Community Survey. They use Indeed for some of the job postings. For the homes, they use Zillow. So yeah, that's where they're getting them, is they're out there looking at the internet and then they pull those numbers in to what I wanted to learn about. So I say, these are what I'm curious about. Kempsey Gardner Institute, our local Utah demographics, their numbers are a little bit lower for Box Elder County. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so especially with forecasting, some of these are real numbers, and then the forecasting, I don't know where they're getting their forecast numbers because they are different than Kempsey Gardner's, but yeah. This one definitely impacts you guys. It's by age cohort, so it will show you the different ages in our county. And this one actually surprised me because I thought we were a much older county, but actually our biggest groups are 25 to 44. So the parents. So, then go ahead and scroll down to the next one. Poor Connie has to hear this again. I'm sorry. This one's just our industry characteristics. Manufacturing, obviously our bread and butter, as well as the average earnings per worker. That's taking the very highest end of pay and the very lowest and averaging them. The thing I love about this one is that it shows 5 years of change in growth. And the reason we have workforce issues, even at the school district, hiring people, is because none of our numbers are going down. We're not really seeing a ton in the largest workforce. They're always growing. In 5 years, we grew 4% every year in manufacturing. So that means our manufacturers are not only continuing, but they're actually adding and growing their businesses and hiring more people. So you can go through there was a couple, the administrative, I don't know why that one's down low, but it only has 1,000 jobs, or less than 1,000 jobs in the whole county. The forestry, fishing, and hunting, my guess is that has something to do with Bird Refuge, Willard Bay, those ones. Go ahead, you can go all the way down to the next one. Job postings, 5-year trend. So this isn't job hires, this is literally job postings on Indeed, unique job postings. I was talking to one of our large businesses and I said, what was up with the 2019? I was like, I don't get it. And they were like, that was the good time, everybody was just employed, everybody was staying where they are. And then you can see it got very like up and down. And a lot of that is just the volatility of the workplace. People can go, they're jumping jobs more. Like Northrop Grumman or one of our large businesses can have a job fair and they hire 80 people, but all 80 of those people had a job somewhere else. They're going to be leaving, and that just makes it worse on the hiring. This one is very misleading because you have to look at it. This is in the last 30 days. So every 30 days, these numbers are changing. So it's showing that Northrop is down 122%, but that they still have 54 unique job postings this month. So last month they had 100, a little over 100, and stuff. So this one, like I said, you have to really look at it. I would, if it was me, I'd be like, okay, who's hiring right now and how many people or how many jobs are they posting every month? Because those numbers do change a little bit, and those companies do change. Like Box Elder County right now must be hiring for summer workers in spring and stuff. So yeah, yes, yes. So. Then we just have employment distribution by size and annual wage ranges, which that's more for the businesses. I believe it's the next, maybe it's the next two. Go ahead and go down. Then, yep, this is the one that you guys will be loving, not. Educational attainment, 18.5% of Box Elder County have a bachelor's degree. And then 27% have some college. And so that's where we can look at and say, okay, how can we help? In fact, my workforce grant is actually helping the rural learner get higher paying jobs. And that means, whether that means going to school to get more skills and certificates, or if that means getting online and getting more skills and certificates so that they can move up in their career. That's kind of what my workforce grant is encouraging me to do. The interesting thing in Box Elder County, and I keep telling the people who gave me the grant this, is only 23% of our jobs are asking for a bachelor's degree. We have a high number that will hire right out of high school, and they are better wages than in other areas. So our manufacturers treat their employees really well and do, you know, so it's an interesting one to see them side by side, like, okay, here's what our education is, and here's what our jobs are needing. So yes, hopefully I can answer, but if not, I'll get you an answer. Ooh. I would, no, I would guess it's counting labor force, so that would be probably 16 and up. That'd be my guess. But I could find out. I can email someone, but yeah, that'd be my guess, because, yeah, so. I will say, I think we're pretty average for Utah. Like, Utah definitely has a very different number than the rest of the nation on bachelor's degrees and some college. It's very different. But in Utah, I don't think our county's any worse or better than others. But top hard skills, this one cracks me up. I just talked about this. Housekeeping is number one. Our guess is that in a lot of job postings, somebody's writing, and clean your area. We had this big discussion this week. I was on the phone with Lightcast, actually, and I was like, what's up with this? And they're like, well, you know, it's picking out the words from Indeed listing, and I have a job posting right now, and it does say, you will be expected to clean up the office area. So I would be like, oh, I'm hiring for housekeeping. So anything janitorial or housekeeping. But the truck driving, the forklift truck, the construction, none of that surprises me. Home values. Red and green lines are Brigham City and Tremonton, and then gray line is Perry. Go Karen. So, and then if you want to go and scroll down to the very last one, this one's more for our businesses, but it's just an interesting one. A lot of people ask. This is the commuting pattern. So the green bar is people coming into Box Elder County. The gray bar is people from Box Elder County leaving. So the red is our negative loss or our negative gain, or our positive gain. The only one we have a positive gain on is Cache County. Everyone else, I'm really hoping those people that are Salt Lake and Utah are working from home, because I wouldn't want to drive there every day. But I know people that do. So yeah. Cache County, so you see how the red's on this side? So we actually gain more people from Cache County than we lose going to Cache County, and that is because our manufacturers in Northrop, they pay higher, so people will drive. But all the other reds mean we're losing more people to Salt Lake. And this, I believe, is based out of where they pay, like, so Parsons, for instance, is in Brigham City and Box Elder County, but their pay is coming from Weber County, because that's where their corporate office is. So there's a little bit of that going on. But yeah, this is an area the chamber is very concerned about, just because we do need more workforce. And we would love to get people that are living here to work here, because that would be good for everyone. One other thing, we have our business summit in March, and we do have Natalie Gochner. She's our keynote speaker. She'll be talking about the economy of Bear River Valley. We're also going to be discussing childcare for businesses, childcare issues, employment, retention. We have Nucor coming and Kent's Marketplace coming to talk about their employee retention. And then we will be talking about using AI and a housing panel, which will be really good. We have Mark Christensen from Tremont, Mark Bradley from Brigham City, and then the county and a realtor coming and talking about what housing is coming to the area. So anyone can attend that, but it's a really fun day. But we just wanted to let you guys know, kind of do a dog and pony show and say, hey, this is what the chamber's been up to, and that we consider you guys great partners. You guys are educating our future workforce, and we just want to acknowledge that and let you know that we have these resources available to you. So, any questions? Yep, just our website, and then it's economic information. And then if there's new data, it updates, but every slide will tell you when it was updated last. So like some of them are from when we first started, because there hasn't been any new data. So. Yeah. Yes, yeah. I've been in businesses using my phone. I'm like, I wish I had a big computer. I was going to say something about that. I don't know what it was, though. Shoo, gone. So, I was going to say, this is a good overview. So if you ever want to dig deep, go to jobs.utah.gov. They have our regional economist, who's Michael Jean-Fro. He's amazing, and he's a great presenter. So if you guys ever want to dig deep into demographics, that's who I would call. Ours is more of an overview of, hey, this is how the county's doing, this is what we're looking at, and how our businesses can use it. But Michael Jean-Fro, our regional economist with Department of Workforce Services, is phenomenal, and he's entertaining. And so he can definitely get into the labor force and what's going on with our labor force and the shrinking of our workforce. So anyway.
Okay, thank you, Monica.
Thank
Appreciate
you
you coming tonight. Thank you so much. Yes, very nice. Okay, now Jeremy Young, our Assessment and ELL Director, is going to do items 2 and 3. The first one is update on Chinese DLI, then the AAPPL data. Okay, Jeremy, go for it.
Yep. Okay, next one. All right. As a quick update to dual immersion, you talked about the survey that we sent out, and so we didn't get enough votes to have a DLI Chinese cohort, and so we sent out the survey to asking parents if they would support a Spanish program at Golden Spike, and then that really came from a lot of independent contact to multiple people requesting it. So we sent that out. Within 36 hours, we had 54 current kindergarten parents commit to be in the Chinese or in the Spanish DLI program, and so we opened up the lottery. As you can see, it is currently full, and we have 3 on a waiting list. Those 3 may choose to go to Lakeview. I think they're just kind of waiting to the summer to see what happens. I anticipate that those programs will probably fill out, but as you can see, we are nearly full everywhere, which is really kind of the sweet spot for BLI. It's giving it all of the opportunity to anyone who wants it, but not dealing with the staffing issues and other issues down the line that we have talked about for months, that comes from starting with too few. We're not concerned at all with the Lakeview applicants. It actually, as we talk about it, is really probably a good thing for what we consider probably our most highly impacted school. As a Title I school, smaller class sizes are going to be fine in that school because we have the additional cohorts that once they move to middle school or not in the intermediate school, that it will balance out and be fine. We also don't have the attrition in Spanish classes like we had seen in the others, and so we feel really good about what we have moving forward. Before I move to Apple data, any questions about our cohorts or the current programs for next year?
I just have a quick question on Lakeview. Because I know this has happened, like when people move in that are, Spanish is their first language, do we, I don't know, automatically, or is that the priority to put them in a dual immersion class?
Yeah, so that's another good reason to have a not full cohort at Lakeview. That's our highest percentage of ELL students in all of our elementaries. And the Spanish dual immersion is one of the few programs that is statistically impactful in a positive way for students acquiring English, which for a lot of people is kind of counterintuitive. And we're kind of having to retrain teachers that they think, the more English they're in during the day, the better they are. But really, it's an exceptional thing to be able to take a student in 2nd or 3rd grade that speaks only Spanish and plug them into a class with a teacher that speaks their language, with a class full of students that speak their language, and there's instant connection, there's instant friends, instead of I'm in a school all day with, and I don't understand anything. And they learn the language. They learn English in only having it half the day. The state really supports that and promotes that, but that's our current practice. We don't have it necessarily drafted into policy, but the practice that we have for the dual language department is if a heritage speaker moves into a school or even an area, we strongly encourage the parents to enroll them in DLI, and if there's room, we put them in, and that's just what we do. What's that? Yeah, and so given that, and understanding that impact that DLI can have on learning language, a lot of the principals reached out to all of the parents of our current kindergartners that are ELL students and really kind of promoted, made sure that they were aware of the program. Sometimes they get left out if they don't speak English or they're not as aware of what's available to them. So they really made a concerted effort to inform and encourage the parents of those ELL students to apply and to be a part of those programs as well.
Generally, if a student comes in, say as a 5th grader or a 11th grader, does it matter where they are? If they're a primary Spanish speaker, they could start right in at the 11th grade.
Yeah, so really kind of the bar that we measure is if they have the level of language at or above the lowest student that's already in the class, then we move them in. That's kind of what we've discussed and talked, because you have students that have been in the EL program the whole time, or the DLI program the whole time, and if it only makes sense that if they're within that range of who's already there, let them be there, and especially where there's the research there to support that it's impactful in a positive way, we put them in.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that.
All right. The Apple data was actually scheduled for last month. I really appreciate you giving me a pass on not making the drive through the canyon last month. It was slightly treacherous when I went over the first time, and I appreciate the postponing of that. So this data is not new. You've had it for over a month, and seeing that we'll go through pretty quickly. At any point, if you have questions, I can respond to those, but just a quick reminders. The APPLE is an acronym within an acronym, and so we'll just say it's the state test for all DLI kids. They take it 3rd through 9th grade. They take a speaking test 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th, and reading, writing, and listening in 4th, 6th, 8th, and 9th. This year was our first year giving the 9th graders all 4 tests. Usually in years past they've given 3. They changed that for this year, and 9th graders took all 4. And so you'll see a slide where we only have 1 year of data for them. On each of these slides, you'll see this year's data and last year's data in terms of percentages at or above benchmark. Just for a quick comparison, why don't you hit the next one really fast? The red dots are the national average, and the next one, the red line, I guess those are orange dots, sorry, Keith. The red lines are your state benchmark. So that's the benchmark that the state DLI program has set for. That's where we are trying to get our students to get. All of these are averages, and so you'll get percentages at that average, and then in the ones on the right, those numbers are just our district averages. All right, next. Here's 4th grade, last year and this year. Pretty consistent, 4th grade to what it was last year, and really pretty good. Those are high percentages above that benchmark line. The next one, we'll break it out, Spanish and Chinese for our 4th grade students this year. So this is where they were compared to the benchmark and to national. Pretty good. 5th grade. We're a little higher than we were last year, still 91%. So really in our elementary schools, their APPLE scores are great in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And you can see well above the benchmark with average and similar to the national average. Comparing against that national average is a little bit, just be careful with it because it's of everyone this age that takes that test. Utah is unique with our dual language immersion program, so you're not necessarily measuring against other DLI programs. You're measuring against heritage speakers that are taking the test in other states, predominantly. Here's 6th grade, last year to this year, a little higher in writing, a little higher in listening, and a little lower in reading. When we get to we'll get to cohort slides later on that kind of give you some trend lines and longevity, and you can see kind of in general how kids are growing. You see slight fluctuations in this based on focus of what the teachers are focusing on because they're responding to this data as well. So one year they might see, oh, hey, our writing was low, so I'm going to focus really on writing, but your time is the same, and so you see some variability, some oscillation between those subjects depending on what teachers are focusing on. But as a whole, it's all really improving pretty well. A quick Spanish and Chinese breakdown. Our listening was lower this year. Our writing was really good this year in Chinese. And then listening was great in Spanish this year, but above benchmark all across the board. Here's 7th grade breakdown. Again, they just do the speaking, listening and speaking test in 7th grade. So last year to this year, we're quite a bit lower this year in Spanish, 74 to 55% of students at benchmark. You see the medians. The Chinese is a small population of that, and so it's not all due to lower performance on the Chinese test, but that impacts it. You look at the medians averages at benchmark, and we have a lot more students meeting that benchmark in Spanish than Chinese. eighth grade last year to this year. So eighth grade writing was way down. Listening is a little higher. Reading is way down from what it was last year. And then the next slide will kind of show where those are at compared to benchmarks for medians. So writing is below in both. Reading in Chinese is way below the benchmark and the national average. Spanish is pretty close, other than a little lower in writing. And again, we see new teachers come in, and we see there's a lot of factors that impact this from year to year. In comparing that, turnover of teachers is definitely one of those things that we see impact scores. If we're able to hold on to our DLI teachers once they are here and trained and know the system and the program, that's of great benefit to our students in learning the language. We see scores really rise if we have teachers that have stayed, come and stayed teaching. We do a lot of work to support our DLI teachers in terms of staying. We have a lot of international teachers that we pay for visas and are working on a cohort of green cards. We do a lot to keep them here if they come to teach with us. And here's ninth grade. Last year and this year, pretty close, a little lower in some, a little higher in one, the listening. But overall, fairly similar in percentages. And then the next slide, this is our first year. We don't have last year's data of speaking. We had 55% at that benchmark. And then you look at where those medians are, those means, the averages are at for Chinese and Spanish as compared to the benchmarks and the national averages. So you can see, even though not meeting those benchmarks, they are consistent with national averages for students taking those tests. Okay, these next slides are cohort comparisons. I'm not going to dig into this slide or the next one. This just gives you the data points for the subsequent slides. And so if you were like, oh, where is this coming from? When we get to these cohort graphs, this is the data that those come from. So,
Jeremy, just a quick question. Did they change the bar at some point inside this test in terms of?
Not that I'm aware of. And then the grayed out sections are historical data that I don't have because it was before my time and is not in their system anymore. Okay, so you can see the grade is on the right, and the colors you can see. So our current, so if you take on the right, for example, our current 12th graders in Chinese, you have their speaking. I have their speaking test for 7th grade is that blue dot down there. And you can kind of go down. The star is the state benchmark. It's the same as what the red line was on our previous slides. But you can see overall trends per cohort. Speaking test, next one. Listening test, so there's that 9th grade listening that we noticed that was really a drop this year compared to last year in the average score of students that took the 9th grade listening test. As a whole.
Jeremy, does this take into account how many kids have dropped out?
Nope, this is just the kids that we have that take the test.
So if there was more in the 8th grade class and then we had 10 drop out in 9th grade?
It's just the average. So I mean, it potentially could, if your 10 lowest dropped from one grade to the next, you would anticipate your average to rise because,
Or vice versa. If the 10 highest drop.
Well, if the 10, right, so yeah, depending on who dropped and who left, these are just the students that took the test.
And we're seeing, maybe not 10, but we're certainly seeing attrition at every grade level, right?
Yes, some higher than others. Yeah. And here's reading in Chinese. again, you kind of get a good sense of ups and downs. Some are ups. Again, our current ninth graders, yeah, you see again that drop in that green line. Did not do well on the reading and the listening components. Here's writing in Chinese. And so a slight increase with that ninth grade group, but not at the level that we've seen in previous years from other grades. But also, will you go back one, Keith? One important thing to note, you look at that fifth grade group last year, where they were at that pink dot under the fourth, clear up above everybody else. Yeah, it is an interesting subgroup. That's a smaller cohort, and so maybe reflective of exactly what we just talked about. Here's Spanish. We don't see quite the fluctuations with the Spanish that we do with some of the Chinese. Again, not knowing how attrition has affected those scores, but in general, we have a higher sample size, so the mean is a little more accurate here. I think it's interesting that regardless of how well they did in sixth grade, the eighth grade kind of looks like the great equalizer in terms of listening on the Spanish test. Other than our current 12th graders did pretty well on the eighth grade listening test, but then not great the next year. Again, overall, I mean, as a whole, you see the vast majority of these cohorts are performing well above those state benchmarks. And as you look at reading in Spanish, for the most part, everyone is well above those stars. And writing, not as sharp of an increase here, but overall pretty close. I mean, you look at those averages, they're still within 7 and 8, so within that one level of an average range. Any questions on Apple data? You bet.
I just am concerned because my daughter's an eighth grader. What's she doing pulling the average down there?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Me afterwards, we can look at her data. All right,
Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate all your hard work on that.
Just
Thank
to
you.
note, while we were talking DLI, I was able to attend some of the Chinese celebration last Wednesday, and that was amazing to see all those students and kids doing the great things they were doing. And Heidi Jo and I talked, and it might be fun to have the Spanish kind of do something like that too, celebration night.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Karen.
They did some great things, and the parents were really fun.
Been fireworks 2 or 3 times all of a sudden in Brigham City I could hear them from South Brigham City.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Superintendent, you're on for legislative update.
Well, I'd like to ask Tiffany and Nancy to help here, but Keith had jumped on and did some work, and that was one of the things he shared earlier was on school fees, and then he also on the semester things. So Keith, you want to just talk to those just a little bit? He sent a letter, and then Dave is going to talk a little bit about the NES bill that we've been working on. How's that?
So the bill that I've been following is Senate Bill 216. It got amended today, but has a positive approval from the committee, from the Senate. My biggest concern is there's no fiscal note associated with it, which kind of goes back, if there's requirements, then where do we go to fund this? And by the way, I've already got my mind brewing on some thoughts. If
Keith,
it
would you
passes.
just say what the name of the bill is and what it is?
Yeah, sorry. It's called, it's called Public School Schedule Amendment.
But it's supposed to take effect this fall, and there is no way.
So there are some things that state in here. What was added today was, well, here's what the original bill said. Everybody's on semesters or quarters. Now that semester could be 7-period, it could be a 6-period semester, it could be an 8-period AD, but it has to be semester or a quarter. What they've added today, so we're now on the second revision from the original, is they've given basically an LEA for an alternate high school. If there's another schedule that's helping them, they wouldn't necessarily have to do that. So just for your information, Sunrise High School is on trimester quarters. In other words, they have every 6 weeks, they have a quarter. But that's different than what the rest of, Bear River, Box Elder cohorts are following. But, so this does bring back some flexibility to an alternate high school. But that's all that's been added. At this point, from what we understand from the senator, is that has something to do with Brighton High School. In the Canyon School District, they give a high school a chance to be on whatever schedule they want. It is causing some struggles inside the district, and somehow people have got to the senator's ear. I have sent out an email to them. I don't think they'll read it, but just saying, why are you doing this? And it does affect, although few schools are on trimesters, it's still to just say we're going to do this. So it's a bill we're watching. I'm concerned. If it happens, we're going to have to move quickly. It does say 25-26 is when it would begin, although you have to start working on it in May 1, 2024. So online, I can't see it. 44, beginning in the 25-26 school year, and except as provided with the alternate high school, an LEA shall adopt a school schedule consisting of only semesters or quarters. Whether or not it gets passed, I don't know. It does adversely affect us. We have reached out to our senators expressing, and House of Representatives expressing concern. However, it just seems sort of random that all this, it just seems like overreach. I hope that that will not be the case, but AJ and Jamie and I and Karina and Lewis and David and Randy and Jerry are already in the mix of a what-if scenario in case we have to go that way.
Have you reached out to anybody in Cache or Logan that are on trimesters as well, and how
So
they've?
Nancy Tingy from Canyon sent me this information last week and said this is coming. So one parent in the Brighton School District, or the Brighton High School, complained to Senator McKay, and he wrote this bill. And they mentioned tonight in the committee that that constituent didn't even show up to talk about it. They had some great students from Brighton talking about how they really liked it, how great the schedule was. Terry Rhodes did speak about it specifically as USBA president, but also how it impacted their county and what they were doing. Kathleen Reeby, who is my favorite Democrat, I have to say, was amazing. She said everything we have said all along. They're overreaching, they're taking away local control, they're trying to be a super school board. They pay lots of money to charters and schools to be creative, and yet when a school district is working outside the framework, we're getting slapped. She was wonderful. So I was texting her part of while we were in the other meeting, and she asked who our senator was, and she's going to go get Scott. So anyway, please contact them, please let them know. This just passed out of Senate committee, so it now has to go on the floor, and then it will go to the House committee to be discussed again, and then on the House, and then they'll have the vote. So, yeah, it's just starting.
I'm just really curious, why does someone want to have this as like the main system? Like, what's wrong with trimesters or any other version of it?
That's exactly our question.
Because one parent was not happy. And that
It's-
is sadly a lot of what goes on at the legislature.
Well, the irony
Some
of
neighbor
this
talks to his constituents, to his legislator.
Brighton is in Canyons, and All of the Canyon school districts have the AB, but Brighton. But it wasn't Brighton, it wasn't the Canyon senator, it was the Jordan senator. So they reached across the line to somebody they knew to get the bill run. Because Jordan has all semester schools, and so it's really convoluted. And I talked to Rick Robbins, the superintendent of Canyons. Brighton is their highest scoring school. And so it just doesn't make sense.
Spoke today were very articulate. You'd been proud of them. They were great. They were great kids, wearing their school sweaters and did a great job.
Well, if I can do a small play on words, what it really comes down, one superintendent quoted, to LEA with it. If you understand local education agency, leave it up to the local. Okay?
Now, just one thing I don't know if you all know. So go to le.ut.gov and you can click on the day and it will show you the schedule of what is happening that day. And then it will show you the different committee meetings. There's a little page icon that's the agenda. There's a little dot that shows you where it is. And then the next one, you can click on it and you can listen, the little arrow, you can listen to all the committee meetings. So you don't have to be down there, and I have ranted and raved in my sewing room for many hours. But you can listen in and you can hear, and if you put it up on your computer, they show the whole screen. The whole screen, they do the whole thing. So if you're really interested or just a passing fancy, you can track everything that's going on. House Ed usually starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. Senate Ed usually starts at 4 in the afternoon. And a lot of times they're tricky and push things to other committees. So if there's a bill you're tracking, you have to be very aware of where it's going. Like right now, trust lands, all the trust land stuff is in natural resources. So it's not in education. So check and see if there's a bill number you hear, look at the senator or representative and see which committee it's been assigned to. That's a big deal. Sorry, Sue.
No, that's all right.
Nancy, I'm really excited to tell you, that little arrow is called the play button.
Oh, yes, this is true. And it also works in your car, and I sat in the parking lot and yelled at my dashboard, and yeah, it is the play button, but you know.
Okay, I think Keith's already touched on the school fees. He actually made that chart that he shared tonight based on some of his responses to, but it has been an ongoing push to get school fees paid for. Like I said, last year was $40 million. This year, no fiscal note. And that money has to come from somewhere, and that's the concern about that. Anything to
The thing
add?
that's worth noting on House Bill 415 School Fees Amendment is if it's passed, it gives districts, I think, 5 years to become compliant. In other words, you don't have to just do it automatic, but we would have to start saying, how are we going to come up with roughly $600,000 ongoing in the course of the next 5 years? So that's positive, considering there's no fiscal note if it passes.
And the next one, the last one we'll have to talk about is the NES bill that's being run. Dave, I've asked Dave to really focus on that.
So this bill came to our attention just because there was 3 school districts in the state, all Class 3 school districts that were losing a substantial amount of money. The reason they wanted to relook at this formula is because they disliked the fact that there were some school districts, specifically large school districts like Weber and Wasatch, that were receiving some funds under this program. So they disliked that. There was I don't know who, but there were some politicians that just were burned by that. And so they were tasked with finding a formula that would reduce participation in the larger school districts and get back to the intent of this funding line item, which is existing small schools. In that process, I will tell you that we went from $1,083,000 down to initially $177,000. So we lost 90% of our budget. And I was a little mad. Huh? 90% reduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the original formula.
So anyway, they've redone the bill to where there are some line items I am concerned about, some lines in the language that I'm concerned about. What we will be talking about this on Friday with our group and hopefully get some clarification. But as of right now, the way the bill is presented, we are harmless. But in order to do that, they had to take the fiscal note from 25 million to 28 million in order to hold us harmless. I hope it passes with that. It'd be interesting to see if any of the senators recommend that they reduce that allocation amount, because I think $28 million can go a lot of ways in education as far as where they could spend that money to impact school districts. And right now, I would say probably 80% of this budget is going to 15 school districts. So it's kind of a little, I don't know, skewed in some ways, but I do understand the scale of operations. I understand the impact that small school districts have in regards to resources. But my argument has always been, as we've talked, that it'd be very difficult to find two schools that are more rural than Park Valley and Grouse Creek, and that are farther away from resources. So some of the school districts that are receiving a substantial increase, their schools were all within 20 minutes of each other, and they're closer to a big city to receive professional services than our two schools are out there. So one school district that's seeing almost an 800% increase in their funding is 12 minutes away from their district office and 20 minutes away from a city that houses 86,000 people. So it was really hard for me to understand why they would get a 700% increase and we'd be held flat after adding 2 more schools to the formula. So I may be a little biased in favor of Box Elder, but I do feel there is a little bit of inequity there. But I will tell you that I think the biggest emphasis on this bill is being put on the scale of operations, which has to do with the size of your school district.
Can I just add that Dave and I drove to Park Valley I believe Wednesday. It's been a while ago since Wednesday was here, but we met, and I would say there were 20 parents in that room, plus there was some IVC with Park Valley and I think Grouse Creek. So we had quite a few people. We shared this with them. They have since written a letter, a petition that will be delivered to Senator Sandel and Representative Peterson on Friday. They've also created a video. We've had some glitches and couldn't get that video up tonight, but we feel like we've really helped those people to be empowered. And just FYI, some of you may or may not know that Senator Sandel's wife is Rose from Park Valley. So we feel like we've really helped those folks to be able to speak up and help support their schools out there.
So, one other thing,
I was just gonna say, I had a phone call from, and I wasn't able to attend that meeting, but Melissa sent me the link to it. But I had a phone call from, he's a grandparent, but very concerned about, because I represent them, he's like, how come you represent us? I'm like, I don't know. But, so I represent, I'm for you though, but yeah, I was really impressed with their willingness and their, assertiveness to be involved in this process, because it really affects them, and to have a face with what we're doing, I think that's really good.
so, one thing, just a heads up. So the legislature is going through a massive audit program. Every program in the state is being heavily audited. They've got a 5-year scan where they're going through. The one they're doing for trust lands, they anticipate is going to take 10 to 11 months to audit the trust lands one. And I know 3 or 4 other, that's where the busing issue came from. That was one of their audits. That's where Ness is coming from. So they are looking into every aspect, and I think we're going to see a whole lot more before it gets any better over the next years. So that's just kind of what I'm seeing is what they're doing. It's all about auditing and trying to make sure that all the money's where it is and doing what it's supposed to be, but audit is the big word at the legislature.
Okay. Any more? We're good? Okay, thank you all. A lot of good, useful information.
I actually have one quick question for Dave. On that slide, it said hold harmless, and there was like a 25, 26. Would we be held harmless moving forward, or is there I just didn't understand that part of it,
So part of my concern, if you look at the language, back down on lines.
I don't think we don't have that, I didn't have that bill attached.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't it 9094, or was it?
Well, there's a couple lines here. One of them is, under this section will be, it basically says, include a one-time appropriation to supplement the difference between the two amounts, but then it goes down to lines 97, 98, and it says, during each five-year review described in subsection 3C, if a school or school district no longer qualifies under the criteria, the state board shall. So it does give them power that 5 years from now, they could take this funding away. So that's what we're going to try and get clarity on Friday.
Okay, thank you, Dave, for that. Okay, we'll go on to our monthly financial report, and Dave, that's yours as well.
Okay, just like I said, most of this is going real. I did highlight a couple areas. For example, on line 72, our repair budget, and this was prepared before Bear River Middle School, so the sewer had nothing to do with this. We are a little overspent. I will get with Corey and find out what has made that dramatic increase in our repair budget for this year versus last year at the same time. Corey and I meet once a month on a Wednesday, so that will happen next Wednesday. On line 85, we budgeted for 142,000. There's nothing currently in that, but that is for the fuel tank that we are putting out at the North Support Center that will allow us to control the additive level in our diesel fuel, and we will be able to buy red diesel, which if you guys know anything about red diesel, it's probably at half the price of regular diesel. So it'll be a substantial savings. I estimate that we'll have this $142,000 just in savings alone from our diesel budget will be paid off in a year and a half. I mean, we'll start receiving additional savings after that in only a year and a half of paying off that fuel. But right now, we have not gotten anywhere on that. Most of it is just waiting for the double steel tank to come that has concrete in it that they made us put in that I thought was a little foolish. But anyway, I'll get off the political side of that. And then the other one I believe that I had highlighted was the portables. We did buy some portables this year, and there's nothing posted in there, so I need to find out where that was posted and post it correctly into that line item for that expense, because we did buy some portables from North Park this year and redo them. So we didn't buy them, we remodeled them because they came from the transportation compound there in Brigham City. And let's see, is there anything else I highlighted? I think that's it. Any questions?
The Bear River issue, we were insured, do we know what, do we have a certain amount that we have to pay in addition?
Yeah, so,
I was gonna get back.
yeah, there's a $10,000 deductible with that, and that's it.
You know what the total cost?
I don't think we've gotten the total cost yet, because ServPro, the one that did the cleanup, the restoration, I don't think we received a bill for it. But I think the estimation that we were looking at was somewhere around 60 to 70,000. Insurance covers everything but the 10,000.
Okay, thank you, Dave, appreciate that. Thank
You
you.
bet.
Did any board committee meet this month? Okay, then Alyssa, we'll go on to our student board member report.
Okay, so from Bear River, I have that they just had their Mr. Bear River, which is basically just like a male beauty pageant. And I haven't been to Bear Rivers, but I know ours are always amazing and so much fun to do. They have their prom coming up, so they're planning that. Everyone's excited. And then they also had what they call Lovers Week. I didn't get a ton of details on it, but I'm guessing it was just like a build up to Valentine's. Does anyone know any information on that, or?
They have dress ups, like, I don't know, it's almost like a Pride Week, really. There's really not much Valentine-y. Wear hot pink if you're taken, wear white if you're single. I don't know, it's just silliness, but.
No, that's amazing. I love that. Both schools just had their choir foundations thing going on Monday and Tuesday. I heard really good things about that. Box Elder ended up going over to Bear River this year. I don't know. I have a lot of friends in choir. They said that they had a lot of fun, and I heard the music was really good.
Maybe, do you have tomorrow night's orchestra?
I haven't yet.
Okay, the foundation, so Tuesday was the foundation choir concert combined, and it was amazing, right? And tomorrow night at Box Elder High School is the foundation orchestra concert, so, yes, combined.
And they have guest
They have guest
conductors on both of those. That's
Yes.
what's kind of special about it.
Yep, it's pretty cool to see both Box Elder and Bear River kids up there on the stage, and they did a great job.
Okay, and then from Box Elder, I have the girls' state wrestling list today. I don't have results since it's a 2-day meet, but so far from what I've seen, they've been doing really good. A lot of people have already been placing and everything. Swim region happened last week, and they both got first, both boys and girls. So that's a long streak we have going on. We had our Sweethearts dance last Saturday, which was really fun. No fire alarms went off this year. And then we also had our Chinese New Year celebration, which was really fun. I wasn't able to go since I had to help with a young women's thing, but I got to see a lot of videos, and our Chinese teacher was really excited for it, so.
Okay, thank you, Alyssa. Appreciate that. Thanks so much. Okay, we'll go to our policy review. We have a lot of policies there on second reading. Any questions on any of those?
I'll second.
Okay, Nancy Kennedy has made the motion, and Brian Smith the second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, those policies pass on the second reading. Now down to our consent items. Any questions on any of those?
I'll move we pass, I'll move we approve the consent items.
Okay, Karen Cronin has made the motion. Do we have a second? Oh, Connie Archibald has made the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Suggestions for future board meetings. Just one thing I want to start out with, so everyone knows. I've talked to Heidi Jo, and starting next month, we are going to, Heidi Jo's going to provide us an article every month for us to read for the following month. And it's going to be an article that is concerning issues that we face as a board or as a district. So there'll be current issues that we can talk about and discuss. And we thought that would be kind of a fun thing to do for a change and not just always a book. So we didn't do it tonight because it was Valentine's. We wanted to give everybody a break, and we'll start next month. Is that okay, Heidi Jo?
Yes,
Okay.
the articles from Steve tonight on all-day K research were for next month, so you could choose which one to read and
Oh,
discuss.
okay, I didn't realize that.
And then
Okay,
also I've
super.
reached out to directors to say, give us an article that you would like us to
Okay.
read to consider
Perfect.
current issues. But if any of you have suggestions, I'm willing to go out and find an article on a current topic too.
Okay.
Seemed like AI was a good one, and I've reached out to technology, so.
Okay, great.
Speaking of AI, for future board meetings, Robert and David Blake and I, with some others, we tried, and I don't know what happened, but we have a meeting scheduled, so for the next board meeting, we'll bring some information on what we're doing currently and the direction that we're going. And I know Brian had talked about that, and I think everyone's interested, so we'll see that on next month's agenda as an information item.
Okay, perfect, great. Okay, any other suggestions for future board meetings? Tiffany?
Not a suggestion, I know we've got principals here. Can we recognize, and
Absolutely.
Could you guys
thing.
wake up so we could recognize you?
Thanks for being here.
Just for everybody's information, to our left is Todd Barrow. He's the principal of Discovery Elementary. In the middle is Shaylin Eakins. She's the principal of Golden Spike Elementary. And to the right is Dallin Gittens, who's the assistant principal, actually an intern, but has done a great job and has been the assistant principal at Golden Spike this year. So thank you. And just an FYI, Shaylin's eldest son, Dixon, is Senator Sandel's intern, and he got to show us around last Thursday when we went and met with Senator Sandel and Tom Peterson and took good care of us, and it was fun to get to see him. I recognized him from how many years ago? Even when he was a senior, even though now he's got a big old honking black beard, but I could still recognize him.
Hey, Shaylin, just so you know, we only saw his from the chest up and from the kneecaps down because his buckle was so big.
He's an impressive young man. It was awesome.
He was.
Anyway, thanks to all three of you for coming tonight and staying so late. Thank you. No other suggestions for future board meetings?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, well, upcoming events, remember USBA Spring Regional Meeting, March 14th, and it's going to be at Maddox, so that should be an easy one we can all attend.
I will not be there.
Okay, that's great. Okay, that's okay.
If it's okay, we will not carpool.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, we just need a motion for adjournment then.
I made it already.
Oh, did you make the, okay, Karen Cronin made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Connie Archibald the second. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.
Tiffany, thank you for the cookies. And I believe there's cupcakes in the other room. And I'll tell you that Heidi Jo West has been incredibly vigilant on this new eating regimen, but I think she ate the whole cookie tonight. Yeah.